Good morning. Morning. I'm going to call to order the 16th meeting of the Rhode Island Ethics Commission, properly noticed for today. A quorum is present. The first item on the agenda is a motion to approve the minutes of the open session held on October 21, 2025. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Motion by Commissioner Rabbit, second by Commissioner Susie. Roll call vote. Commissioner Susie. Aye. Mr. Browner. Aye. Commissioner Callahan. Abstain. Commissioner Peterson.
Abstain.
Mr. Rabideau.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritchie.
Aye.
And the chair abstains. The next item on the agenda is the director's report. I should note before we start that there's one change to our agenda today. One of the items in the executive session is in Heidi Weston Rogers. That is going to be continued to the next hearing date. So anybody who might be here for that, it won't be happening today. For you, Mr. Executive Director.
Thank you and good morning. Just running through the list here regarding complaints and investigations. We have 6 complaints pending as of today. First down the list, Inree James Thorson. I'll note that we did have a pre-adjudication conference with the chairperson and legal counsel Dee Simone, the attorneys for both sides, met to talk about scheduling the adjudication. Mr. Chairman, I think we had talked about discussing an adjudication date, either March 10th or March 17th, which are not normal meeting dates. So these would be special dates where all we would do is have the adjudication on either of those dates. We're thinking it would probably be a 1-day affair, not have to come back for a second day. So, but it could be a long day. So it could be a 9 a.m. to, the afternoon, could be, or it could be shorter. So I think the question was going to be whether the commissioners had any preference for either of those 2 dates, March 10th or March 17th.
I can't do the 10th.
So before we go direct to that, during that conference, there seems to me to be some, I don't want to get into merits here, obviously, because counsel for Mr. Thorson's not here, but there seemed to be some concern about some of the evidentiary issues in the case. And I just want to make sure that you don't think those evidentiary issues are going to cause the hearing date to be extended further out.
I don't. I think the discussion there was that if there were going to be any motions based on the evidentiary issues, that those motions could take place at the February 10th meeting, which is a regular commission meeting. And then we would have certainty as to where you are, what's going to happen at the adjudication.
So then are you asking us to poll everybody right now about the 17th, I guess? Anybody else who can't be here on the 10th? And anybody who can't be here on the 17th that you know? And it sounds to me that we should schedule for the 17th in order to assure the largest attendance possible. And I would ask you to give special notice to Commissioner Santorini and to Commissioner Strauss so they're aware, block off their calendars now.
I'll send an email to all the commissioners noting that date so that you can add it, make sure that you've added it to your calendar.
That's fine, but I'd ask you to reach out to Commissioner Strauss particularly.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah. So that takes care of that issue. I'll just also note, to skip ahead a little bit, that we did put the tentative 2026 schedule in the email that was sent out to all of you. So please take a look at that and add them to your calendars if you like. I would be happy to send a group-wise or Outlook group-wise. That's 20 years old. An Outlook invitation to anyone who wants that. So if any of you want me to send an electronic invitation so that it automatically populates your electronic calendars, just send me an email and I'll do that. I'll be happy to do that. So moving on, the chair noted in the Heidi Weston Rogers matter that's going to come before you on December 16th, which will be our next meeting. That's not scheduled for adjudication on the 16th, just other matters. Continued from today. Then down the list, Jonathan Pascua complaint that is on the agenda today for an extension of time, as is the James Durkin complaint. You'll hear both of those in executive session today. And then finally, the last complaint is Henry Jeffrey McCormick, and that's still under investigation.
I'm sorry, I thought you said six.
But I did too. 1, 2,
Thorson, Rogers, Pasqua, Durkin, and Cormac. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's 5.
Correct.
That's why I went to law school and business school. So 5 complaints. Advisory opinions. Now there are 6 pending advisory opinions.
Sure.
I'm fairly certain of that, at least as of yesterday afternoon there were, and there are 5 on today's agenda. APRA requests. Interestingly, we had no APRA requests since the last meeting. It's wonderful to not have any for a change.
Commissioner Susie must have done a good job that day.
Financial disclosure is on the agenda under the director's report, but I really don't have anything to discuss today for financial disclosure. And then finally, general office administration, just again noting that our final meeting of 2025 is December 16th. And then since this is also general office, I just want to note that we are temporarily down 1 staff member in our administrative staff. Sabrina DePina, who you probably get a lot of emails from time to time, is one of our administrative assistants, is out on maternity leave, and she had a bouncing baby boy, Kaiser, who's doing well. On the child vote, doing wonderful.
His middle name is not Wilhelm.
It's not. I don't think so. That's the director's report. Thank you.
All right, so is there a sign-up sheet? Executive Director noticed we have 5 today. There are 4 signed up. The first one is Raymond Taylor. And that is going to be presented by Staff Attorney Pop. Morning, Mr. Taylor.
Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners. This advisory opinion is in the top D in your binders. Ms. Taylor is the supervisor of the on-site wastewater treatment systems program within the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, or DEM. He requests an advisory opinion on 2 issues. First is whether he qualifies for a hardship exception in order to represent himself before a different program within the DEM, and whether he may engage the services of a land surveyor who is licensed by the petitioner's program as a septic designer, and if so, what restrictions, if any, the Code of Ethics imposes upon him. Mr. Taylor has been employed by the DEM for the past 18 months, and he represents that he would like to construct a detached 2-car garage and a small dock at his personal residence. He represents that he's owned the personal residence for the past 3 years. Because his property is located on a river or a pond, falls within the jurisdiction of the groundwater and freshwater wetlands program. And he would likely need to receive a site plan approval from that program. The wetlands program, like the wastewater program, is part of the DEM's Office of Water Resources. Ms. Taylor represents that the 2 programs are separate and independent from each other, and that he doesn't have any supervisory authority over the wetlands program. He explains that in order to prepare a site plan, he would have to hire either an engineer or a land surveyor. He represents that both of those individuals may be licensed as septic designers by Mr. Taylor's program. As the wastewater program supervisor, he issues the septic design licenses. Mr. Taylor would like to hire a land surveyor who possesses one of those licenses. He also explains that land surveyors from time to time may appear before the program to represent clients on any application. And he represents that although he does not review those projects or applications, he assigns those projects to his subordinates based on the availability of his subordinates, on their experience and the difficulty of that project. Now, turning to Mr. Taylor's first question specifically regarding whether he qualifies for a hardship exception. Notwithstanding that the two programs, the wastewater program and the wetlands program, are separate and apart, distinguished from each other, they are two programs within the same agency. Therefore, Mr. Taylor's conduct falls squarely within the prohibitions of the Code of Ethics, and he would have to receive a hardship exception from the Code of Ethics in order to apply for the site plan approval. Here he would like to construct, as I said, a detached two-car garage and a small dock on his personal residence. He's owned a personal residence for the past 3 years prior to his hiring with the GEM. The application is to be submitted to a program over which he does not have any supervisory authority, and the application does not involve a new commercial venture, rather it involves improvement of his personal residence. Accordingly, based on these specific representations, it is the opinion of the staff that the hardship exception here applies, and Mr. Taylor may submit the site plan for approval before his own agency. Now, with regards to engaging the land surveyor who has a septic design license. Here, Mr. Taylor would not be prohibited from engaging that land surveyor. However, once he engaged that land surveyor to perform the work, they will become business associates for the duration of that project, or maybe for beyond that. But once they become business associates, the Code of Ethics would impose certain limitations on his public duties. Their business associate relationship will continue while they are conducting ongoing business transactions, have outstanding accounts, or work to be performed, and while there exists an anticipated future relationship between them. During their ongoing business associate relationship, Mr. Taylor will be required to recuse from septic design license renewal of that particular land surveyor. In those circumstances, he would have to, his duties would have to be performed by a colleague that is in a position that is either lateral or higher than Mr. Taylor. He would also be prohibited from reviewing septic projects in which his current or ongoing business associate appears to represent a client, files a site plan or an application on behalf of the client, and or appears as an expert witness. These prohibitions would generally include, but are not limited to, Mr. Taylor's assignment to his subordinates of the project in which his business associate is involved. Mr. Taylor is advised that if any changes occur in his duties or any more specific questions may occur, he can seek further guidance in the commission to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Mr. Taylor, you've had the opportunity to review the proposed advisory opinion, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've had conversations with Ms. Papa.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions or concerns or comments about the advisory opinion as proposed?
No, sir.
Anybody on the commission have any questions for either Ms. Papa or Mr. Taylor? Do I hear a motion to approve the advisory opinion as issued? Motion by Commissioner Rabideau, second by Commissioner Browner. Roll call vote, Commissioner Susie.
Aye.
Commissioner Browner.
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson. Commissioner Rabideau.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritchie.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. We appreciate your keeping our water clean too.
Thanks.
Thank you. Before you leave, one question I have for you, Ms. Poppins,
Okay.
about this is, did you inform him how long after his project is completed, he would have to continue to recuse from matters involving his surveyor?
We had a discussion with regards to the business associate relationship and how long it would last, so we discussed that if there's a project that it's gonna happen right after this initial project, and he'll anticipate to hire again the same land surveyor or another one, or the same surveyor, then that may be considered an ongoing business associate relationship, but we also discussed that if he has questions beyond this advisory opinion, then he can always call us and then we'll make a determination whether or not a new advisory opinion will be required at that time.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure there was some communication about that, but it's not lifetime.
Just as long as the business association exists.
Correct. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Olinda. I hope I'm undoubtedly going to pronounce this wrong, but Olinda Suchite Mendez. Good morning.
It's actually correct.
Spanish comes through once again.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, Ms. Suchite Mendez. The draft for this petitioner is at tab A in your binders. Petitioner is the former Minority Business Support Director for the Rhode Island Commerce Corporation. She is now privately employed as a small business services administrator with skills for Rhode Island's future. She has asked for an advisory opinion regarding whether she may, within 1 year following her departure from Commerce, attend and participate in meetings with business owners who might be interested in working with Skills RI, given that those meetings are held at and hosted by the Commerce Corporation, and if so, whether and how the code's revolving door provisions might otherwise apply to her current private employment. The petitioner was employed by Rhode Island Commerce from February of 2023 until June of 2025. Her former duties are identified at the bottom of page 2 and the top of page 3 of the draft. In September of this year, 3 months after her public employment with Commerce ended, the petitioner began working at Skills RI. Her current duties are identified in the middle of page 3 of the draft. The petitioner represents that her current work for Skills RI is distinct in both function and purpose from her former work for Rhode Island Commerce. She explains that her current position is direct service oriented and focuses on helping small businesses access capital and funding. The petitioner informs that Skills RI was a grantee under the Commerce Corporation's Minority Business Enterprise Program, which the petitioner administered and monitored while employed by Rhode Island Commerce. She emphasizes, however, that she has no role in the additional pursuit by Skills RI of such grant funding, nor would such activity even fall within her duties at Skills RI. Petitioner tells us that local business owners seeking support from the Office of the Governor are regularly referred by that office to the Commerce Corporation for assistance. In response to an inquiry from such a business owner, a representative from Rhode Island Commerce will invite that business owner to a meeting at the Commerce Corporation, at which time the Commerce Corporation will inform the business owner of what services the Commerce Corporation has to offer them. The Commerce Corporation also maintains a list of approximately 15 agencies that offer services to local business owners that Commerce does not offer. And Commerce will regularly invite those agencies to attend and participate at these meetings. At these meetings with business owners, following an introduction by employees of Commerce regarding what that state agency has to offer by way of assistance, representatives from the agencies who accepted the invitation to attend and participate then relay to the business owner what opportunities their agencies have to offer. The petitioner explains that a business owner is free to select an agency to work with if it so chooses, without any input from Commerce. Petitioner explains that Commerce does not charge a fee to or compensate any agency for its participation in a meeting with a business owner, nor does Commerce endorse or denounce a presentation by any agency to a business owner. These meetings merely function as meet and greets. The petitioner's duties at Skills RI include attendance and participation at these meetings on behalf of Skills RI. Her participation at them has no direct financial impact on her or Skills RI, including the receipt or denial of grant funding from Commerce or any other source. Looking now to the code, section 36-14-5E prohibits a public employee from representing herself or any other person, which would include her private employer, before the state agency by which she is employed and for a period of 1 year after she has left that agency. The Ethics Commission has issued numerous advisory opinions interpreting section 5E's requirements, and examples are cited on pages 3 and 4 of the draft. Activities that would constitute representation and or acting as an expert generally include, in this case, the presentation of information or arguments for the purpose of influencing the judgment of the agency on matters concerning the petitioner and or her new employer. Such prohibited activities include, but aren't limited to, signing any response to requests for proposals issued by Rhode Island Commerce or any of its departments, and or attending and participating in meetings between Skills RI and Rhode Island Commerce relative to the award of a contract or a grant to Skills RI. On the other hand, contacts involving matters that do not involve discretion or decision-making on the part of the Commerce Corporation are not prohibited. Here, based upon the facts as represented, it is the opinion of staff that Ms. Sushite Mendez's proposed activity does not appear to violate the revolving door provisions of section 5E. The petitioner is advised, however, that she is prohibited from representing herself or others, including her new private employer, or from acting as an expert witness before the Commerce Corporation for a period of 1 year following the severance of her employment with that agency. Further, the petitioner may not use confidential information she obtained while working for Commerce to obtain financial gain for herself or for her new employer. Lastly, until the expiration of 1 year following the date of her departure from state service, the petitioner is advised, when in doubt, to seek further guidance from the Ethics Commission regarding the code's potential application to her interaction with the Rhode Island Commerce Corporation. I'm happy to answer your questions or to defer to our petitioner as appropriate.
Thank you. Ms. Sushite Mendez, you've had a chance to review the proposed advisory opinion, I'm sure, and you've had a chance to speak with Ms. Radishis probably at length if you wished. Do you have any questions, comments, concerns to ask the commission about?
No, I read it all. It's pretty clear. Thank you.
Any member of the commission have a question?
I just have a sort of a parallel question relative to when we talk about revolving door, is there a basic time frame that I understand a year on the backside, sorry, of it, but let's say as an example, a petitioner, not this petitioner, but a petitioner was in the state employment, based on like a federal grant, as an example, for a couple months. Are they still subject, to a year revolving door if somehow that grant's rescinded and they are, there's just, a severance of some type of that relationship? Is there a gray area there, relative to how long that particular person is employed by the state?
I don't believe there is a gray area. It talks about the end of the employment, regardless of whether that's 2 months or 2 years. There was one instance a couple of years ago where someone on a municipal agency had been on the agency for about a couple of months and had yet to sit. So I think that might have been your gray area because the person didn't take part.
Thank you, just kind of
Sure.
reminding me of, thank you for your patience.
Any other questions or concerns?
Is there a motion to approve and issue the advisory opinion as presented by the staff?
I'll move.
Second by Commissioner Peterson, second by Commissioner Callahan. A roll call vote. Commissioner Susie,
Aye.
Dr. Browner. Aye. Commissioner Callahan.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rabideau.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritchie.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next
Pleasure to meet you.
item on the sign-in sheet is Ronald Flynn. To be presented again by staff attorney Releases.
The draft for this petitioner is at tab B in your binders. Welcome, Mr. Flynn. Petitioner is a member of the Coventry Planning Commission, to which he was appointed by the Coventry Town Council in 2007. He has served continuously since that time and has chaired the Planning Commission for the last 5 years. There is currently pending before the Planning Commission a preliminary comprehensive plan application for affordable housing that is scheduled for hearing tomorrow. Petitioner identifies the applicant in that matter as Bob DeBlois, the founder and president of D2 Homes. All references to Mr. DeBlois also include D2 Homes. The petitioner represents that on June 1st of 2021, he contracted with Mr. DeBlois to construct a new personal residence for the petitioner and his family. The petitioner further represents that for the duration of his contract with Mr. DeBlois, he recused from all planning commission matters involving Mr. DeBlois and from all matters in which Mr. DeBlois was a party or participant. The petitioner states that his home was completed in 2021 and that his final payment to Mr. DeBlois was received by Mr. DeBlois on November 18th, 2021, exactly 4 years ago today. Okay. Mr. Flynn states that he has had no professional relationship with Mr. DeBlois since 2021, and despite his satisfaction at the work with the work that was performed for him, he does not anticipate any occasion for which he might again require the services of Mr. DeBlois going forward. Under the Code of Ethics, Mr. Flynn may not participate in any matter that will directly financially impact his business associate. A business associate is defined as a person joined together with another person to achieve a common financial objective, and a person is defined as an individual or a business entity. Additionally, Mr. Flynn must recuse himself from participation in a matter when his business associate or a person authorized by his business associate appears or presents evidence or arguments before his municipal agency. The sole issue before the commission this morning is whether Mr. DeBlois is Mr. Flynn's business associate. If he is, then Mr. Flynn must recuse from all matters impacting Mr. DeBlois or in which Mr. DeBlois or his authorized representative appears or presents evidence before the planning commission. If Mr. DeBlois is not Mr. Flynn's business associate, then barring some other restriction under the Code of Ethics that is not evident from the facts as represented, say Mr. DeBlois is Mr. Flynn's brother-in-law, which he is not, then Mr. Flynn is not required to recuse. Certainly, Mr. Flynn and Mr. DeBlois were business associates during the period in 2021 that D2 Homes was constructing Mr. Flynn's home. But that business relationship ended exactly 4 years ago when Mr. DeBlois received the final payment from Mr. Flynn. Today, parties are no longer conducting business transactions. There are no outstanding accounts between the parties, and there is no business relationship anticipated between them in the foreseeable future. That is the trifecta for achieving a past business associate relationship. Pages 2 and 3 of the draft illustrate the distinction between current and former business associate relationships with cites to 6 previously issued advisory opinions based on the facts as represented, the applicable provisions of the Code of Ethics, and consistent with prior advisory opinions issued. It is the opinion of staff that Mr. Flynn is not prohibited from participating in the matter currently pending before the Planning Commission, for which Mr. DeBlois is the applicant. I'm happy to answer your questions or to defer to Mr. Flynn as appropriate.
Morning, Mr. Flynn. I know you've seen the advisory opinion or draft advisory opinion. I know you've spoken to Ms. Radishis. Do you have any questions, concerns, comments about the proposed advisory?
No, I do not.
Any members of the commission have any questions, Mr. Flynn or Ms. Radishis, about this proposed advisory? So hearing none, is there a motion to approve and issue the advisory opinion as presented by staff in this matter?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Ritchie, second by Commissioner Browner. Roll call vote, Commissioner Susie.
Aye.
Commissioner Browner. Aye. Mr. Callahan.
Aye.
Mr. Peterson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rabideau.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritchie.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you, Mr. Flynn.
Thank you.
And we appreciate that you came in when you probably didn't have a whole lot of doubt.
Yeah.
We still appreciate that you brought
I
it
could
forward.
say one thing, I appreciate what your commission does, sitting on one, it's not always easy. My meeting is probably gonna be upwards of 150 people tomorrow. That's a very contentious.
We're dealing with the same thing here today.
And you know, everybody said, what are you gonna do? You're gonna recuse yourself. I said, I'm gonna let the people answer that, because that's what I stand for. So if any of those people say I should recuse myself, even though I have this decision, I will be doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Okay.
This one. Here today? Yeah. We don't think.
Next item on the sign-in rather is Peter Musert. Attorney Papa will present that one. Sorry,
He's not very famous.
I can tell.
He runs a very good meeting.
This draft is in the tab E in the binders.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Mr. Musert is a member of the Situate Town Council. In his private capacity, he's a volunteer firefighter with one of the 4 fire departments within the town. The fire department is called North Situate Fire Department #1. Mr. Musert requests an advisory opinion regarding whether he's prohibited by the Code of Ethics from participating as town council member in discussions between the town council and the fire department relative to complaints received by the town council members regarding the operations of that fire department. Mr. Musert represents that the fire department operates as a private, non-profit organization, separate and apart from the town. As the volunteer firefighters within the fire department are not municipal employees. And he explains that no municipal entity has management or control over operations or decisions made by the fire department. He also explains that there is a separate entity that is not a municipal entity called Situate Fire Engineering Board. And that fire engineering board manages and set policies for the operations of the fire department, actually all the fire departments. As a volunteer firefighter, Mr. Musert receives a stipend for his services that he provides based on the number of calls that he responds to during the year. He explains that the fire department's budget consists of funds that they receive from the town, membership fees, donations, and various fundraising activities that are done by the fire department. Mr. Musert explains that the stipends are paid by the fire engineering board from the funds provided by the town. He explains that the town does not have any say over those funds and how they are distributed to the firefighters. Mr. Musert explains that over the past year, several town council members have received complaints from various individuals regarding the operations of the fire department. Given the financial support that the town gives to the fire department, the town council is considering inviting the fire department to discuss in executive session the operations and the complaints of the fire department. He also explains that based on those discussions, it is possible that the town may consider adjusting the financial support that the town gives to the fire department. Given this set of facts, he's asking whether or not, as a town council member, he can participate in those discussions between the town council and the fire department regarding the complaints. Here, because Mr. Musert is paid for his services, as a volunteer firefighter by the fire department in the form of a stipend. And because the fire department is a private nonprofit entity, Mr. Musert is considered to be a business associate of the fire department. And because he is a business associate of the fire department, he will be prohibited by regulation 1.2.1 from participating as town council member in those discussions between the town council and the fire department. Recusal must be filed consistent with provisions of section 36-14/6. And he is also prohibited from using his public office or confidential information received through his public office to obtain financial gain for himself or the fire department. And he's also reminded that he's generally prohibited from participating in any discussions, whether in open or closed session, that may financially impact him or the fire department. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Papa. Mr. Musert, you've had an opportunity, I'm sure, to review the advisory opinion. You've had an opportunity to talk to Attorney Papa at length that you chose, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you have any questions, concerns, or comments for the commission?
Yes, sir. Thank you. My sole reason for asking for this opinion is to ensure that the citizens of Situate receive the best fire and EMS services possible that they're paying for with their tax dollars. I would respectfully disagree that I am a business associate. According to Rhode Island law, a volunteer fireman is not considered a business associate under Rhode Island law. The Rhode Island Ethics Commission has stated that the relationship between a volunteer firefighter and their department is not that of a business associate, but rather a municipal agency relationship. The distinction is important for understanding how ethical codes apply. For example, a member of a town council who is a volunteer firefighter is not prohibited by the Code of Ethics from participating in town council matters relating to the fire department because the relationship is not one of a business associate. And please excuse me, I'm not an attorney, so I'm doing my best here, and I may not be presenting my arguments in the proper order. In an executive session of the town council, we don't vote on anything. We simply ask questions and gather facts. And at a later open meeting of the town council, there may be decisions that are voted upon based upon those facts. I'm asking that because I'm an expert, well, I'm not really an expert, but I know a lot more than most people about the operation of the fire department to be able to participate in that executive session meeting. Also, I would recuse myself from any vote that are taken that result from that executive session meeting. And I would argue that there is a class exception that applies because if in any way, shape, or form, the number of calls that are handled by that, I get paid based upon how many fires I respond to, or emergency medical calls, or any emergency calls of that nature. If in some way, shape, or form, the number of calls are reduced because of the actions of the town council, that would affect every volunteer firefighter there, not just myself. From what I understand, that is a class exception. I am not gaining financially. I mean, this is a small stipend. So you have some, to get out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning to help in an emergency. I'm only here to try to do the best for the town. There's no financial gain for me here at all. There may be a financial loss, but I seriously doubt it. We're just interested in listening to these complaints from citizens. And I want to help ensure that when they get an answer from the management team of that fire department, that they understand if that answer is correct or not. Because if you're not an expert in that area, you could be boondoggled, if I that's not the right word, but you could be misled.
So, Mr. Musert, you receive a stipend from the fire department and the case you mentioned, I can't speak to it particularly, but in some instances, as you know, volunteer firefighters are not paid. And if they're not paid, then they're not business associates. So the fact that you receive a stipend is part of the reason you're a business associate. I certainly appreciate your point. But I can also tell you, and I'm sure Ms. Papa could remind me how many, but there was a fellow we had here who had sold something like 7 jars of some sort of sauce he had made to some store. And he was a business associate because of that. So we don't really have, that I know of, a way around the fact that you are a business associate. And I think that impels, unless somebody thinks otherwise, I think that impels advisory opinion as it stands, but I'll turn it over to other members of the commission to see if anybody has any questions or comments.
Just wanted to follow up, Mr. You said four fire departments, is that right?
Correct.
There are 4 volunteer departments in the town of Situate.
So as I read through your case, my thought was also in line with, you know, how might you respond? Not, this is purely theoretical. How might we be portrayed? How might you be portrayed by the 3 other fire departments that may or may not be vying for money? Where, you know, you're a member of number 1 and you're on the town council, you know, is there a scenario where you may be placed in a position where it could appear that you could be favoring number 1 over 2, 3, or 4?
Great question, sir. And the answer would be that the funds, the operating budget and capital expense budget that is allocated to each of the volunteer fire departments comes from the financial board of the town. I am a member of that financial board. There's 7 people who sit on that as the financial committee. But whenever an issue comes up for firefighter fire department funding, I recuse myself, whether it has to do with North Situate or Chartmouth or Hope Jackson or Potterville. So I recuse myself. The funding comes, they make a request every year for funding from the finance board. They discuss that, they approve it. I recuse myself from participating in any of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Commissioner Ritchie.
If I understood you correctly, and by the way, you articulated it very well, your position. You stated that you would restrict your activities only to discussion of issues relating to the fire department.
Yes, sir.
And not actually vote.
Correct, sir.
Does anybody see any sort of leeway with that?
I don't, because, I mean, he's gonna participate in executive session, but then he's not gonna participate in the vote.
But he
That
said
doesn't
that
make
in
any sense.
executive session, there is no vote, unlike some executive sessions. I'm just,
Here's the problem. He's in executive session. He wields his authority, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but he wields his authority. They come out and they vote as he suggested they vote. He's already got the influence of his position.
Right.
And I think that's why,
I understand that, but I understand you correctly that even in the executive session, or there's no vote, but you will discuss the aspects of the issues.
The complaints.
Well, then I have to agree with you on that. So there is no, you really can't separate yourself, and you are in a position where you're there. We had a situation with the Senate president here, and I still stand by that, that was a bad decision here. But I understand where you're coming from. Well, I do. And you should, thank you for your service, brother.
Thank you. I do have a related question. I mean, if somebody does ask me a question about the fire department
outside of the, I mean, now,
outside of an executive session meeting,
or any meeting on the streets.
yeah.
No,
But I understand, I have First Amendment right.
To me, sir, the logic that you apply to recusing from the financial board applies here. It's the same difference. So I don't really see a distinction. You said that maybe it could result in a financial loss, but that's still an impact to your employer. So
It may,
to me, it's all one, it's sort of the same logic would apply.
it might result, theoretically, it could result in the amount of funding provided to operate that fire department, but it would not affect what people are paid for going to a call, that are stipend, because you can't say, well, we're going to pay you for less calls that you respond to. So it wouldn't affect what we are making as in it wouldn't affect the little attaboy, my language, we get for going to a call. Wouldn't affect that in any way, shape, or form. It might affect the operating budget given to that department or the apparatus that is placed in that department, because the apparatus is owned by the town. It's interesting.
I think that's where everyone's circling up, though, that's executive session, financial business. Your thoughts, in terms of a class exception, makes sense in an aspect, and that the stipend would be equal across the board for anyone who's participating, but it is I think the conglomerate component of the larger impact that you may or may not have there. I think, just speaking for myself, I certainly do appreciate the fact that you're just trying to help. That's very clear to me in terms of communication. But I see where our position legally is.
It would be very difficult to find an exception that could apply to you that wouldn't open a door to too many others, quite frankly.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions?
Well, thank you for your time.
I would ask whether there's a motion to approve and issue the advisory opinion as presented by the staff.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Callahan, is there a second by Commissioner Rabideau? Roll call vote. Commissioner Susie.
Aye.
Commissioner Browner. Aye. Commissioner Callahan.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rabideau.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritchie. Aye. And the chair votes aye. Mr. Newsom, I do want to tell you, you didn't need a lawyer to be here, and your presentation was quite good.
Thank you.
And we appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
The next advisory opinion with no sign-in is Jeffrey Wolfsburg rather. And this is to be presented by also by Attorney Papa.
That's on the top C in your binders. I had a contact with Mr. Wolfsburg on Thursday, I believe. He was not in his office. He advised me that once he gets to the office and check his schedule, whether or not he'll be present. I haven't heard from him. I left a couple of voicemails yesterday, different times of the day. My last voicemail was that I assumed that he would like me to proceed in his absence and to let me know if that's not the case. I still haven't heard from him.
Do you have a sense that he had any problem with this opinion? Because I can't imagine that he did.
He did not express any concerns with regards to the opinion.
Do any commissioners see any reason not to go forward? All right. So he's proceed.
And I believe I advised him that if you have any questions for him, then he will postpone your decision until a later time. So Mr. Wolfsburg is an administrator of the Rhode Island Department of Behavioral Healthcare, Developmental Disabilities and Hospitals, HDDH. He requests an advisory opinion regarding whether the Code of Ethics prohibits him from accepting private part-time employment with a nationwide addiction recovery intervention company. As an administrator with the BHDTH, he serves as both liaison to the Recovery Housing Program and program director for the Recovery Friendly Workplace Initiative. I have detailed his duties on page 1 of the draft. He represents that his work hours are from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday. And that he has an opportunity to engage in a secondary part-time employment as a recovery coach / peer support specialist with Tipping Point Recovery. He explains that Tipping Point provides guidance and support to families who have members battling addictions. One of the services that Tipping Point offers following the completion of a treatment is peer support provided by a recovery coach. The petitioner represents that as a recovery coach, he'll be working 4 to 6 hours per week via Zoom. And his work will be completed outside of his normal work hours on evenings or weekends. And without, of course, using any public resources. He does not expect to work with any Rhode Island residents. And he also explains that in his public capacity, he does not have any caseload of individuals that are seeking or undergoing treatment. And he does not refer such individuals to treatment providers. He also does not oversee any subordinates who might be referring individuals to providers for treatments. He also represents that if someone reaches out to him, there is an immediate crisis, he will refer that individual to 988, which is a suicide and crisis lifeline designed to provide immediate assistance to individuals who need them. The petitioner requests the advice of the commission based on suggestion by a superior. The commission has consistently opined that public officials and employees are not inherently prohibited from having secondary employment, provided that that secondary employment will neither impair the independence of judgment nor create an interest in substantial conflict with their public duties, and provided that they follow certain guidelines or restrictions. I have listed past advisory opinions on page 3 of the draft. Here, it is the opinion of the staff that there is no evidence that the petitioner's private part-time employment would either impair his independence of judgment or create an interest in substantial conflict with the discharge of his public duties. Accordingly, the Code of Ethics does not prohibit him from accepting that part-time employment. It's a tipping point, provided, of course, that all work is performed outside of his normal working hours without the use of public resources or confidential information received. And provided also that he does not use his public employment to advertise his private work or solicit any work for his private employer. And he's also advised that if any changes occur in his in either of his duties, to seek further guidance from the commission. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Papa. Any commissioners have any questions for Papa on this matter?
I want to make a note. In his letter to the commission, he says that it would be 8 to 12 hours per week, but in the advisory opinion, it says 4 to 6 hours per week. I don't think that's
Correct, that's
necessarily-
the catch. When I was on the phone with him, he was like, oh, that's too many hours. So he reduced it to the 4 to 6 hours. So that's my the draft reflects my conversation with him.
Good, that's all I want to know.
Thank you.
And is there any commissioner who feels we should wait for Mr. Wolfspill to be present? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve and issue the advisory opinions presented by staff? So moved. Motion by Commissioner Callahan, is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Browner, roll call vote, Commissioner Susie.
Aye.
Commissioner Browner. Aye. Commissioner Callahan.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson.
Aye.
Commissioner Ravadeau.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritchie. Aye. And the chair votes aye. Thank you, Ms. Papa.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a motion to go into executive session to wit. A motion to approve the minutes of the executive session held on October 21, 2025. Pursuant to RI Gen Law Section 42, 46, 5A, 2, and 4. We are not going to be considering the matter of Heidi Weston Rogers, as I announced earlier. We will be looking at In re James Durkin, complaint number 2025-4, pursuant to RI 42-46-5A, 2, and 4. In re Jonathan Pasqua, complaint number 2025-2 pursuant to Rhode Island General Law, section 4246-5A, 2 and 4. And then a motion to return to open session. Is there such a motion? So motion by Commissioner Ritchie to go into executive session, and second by Commissioner Rabideau. Roll call vote, Commissioner Susie. Mr. Browner.
Aye.
Commissioner Callahan.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson. Mr. Rabideau.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritchie. And the chair votes aye. We'll now go into executive session.